Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Danielle, the American expat mom of 3 living in Germany. Today's video is going to be about the USA, my time back just 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about how I have changed, but also things that I just completely forgot. So culture shocks in reverse. The very first one happened to me straight at landing at the San Francisco airport when I went to go to the toilet. I took the girls with me to go to the bathroom, and this didn't just happen to me, it happened to Olivia as well. We were looking through all of the stalls, and I'm just thinking all of these toilets are out of function. They're all overflowing. And then it hit me. I was like, no, that is how American toilets are. American toilet bowls just have a lot more water in them, and I completely forgot. I was going from stall to stall just thinking that all of them were defected. But in fact, that is just the normal amount of water in a toilet bowl in America. The next thing that caught my attention was the water fountains. In America, there are water drinking fountains everywhere, which I used to find really handy, but I just completely forgot about them. And I was like, hey, I remember those. You can like fill up your water if you're really thirsty. You can grab a drink, except for right now during COVID time, all of them are out of order. Seeing those again just brought back some memories, and I had completely forgotten about them. The next thing that really came to a shock to me this time more than other times, I kind of feel like this time it came as more of a shock because I've been more interested in learning how to drive, and probably also my trip to the UK was the complete polar opposite experience of the American highways, roadways, and the size of the cars. It really hit me more this time than other visits back. I was like, yeah, there are way bigger cars here, but it makes sense because the roads are way bigger. There's just so much road, and they're so big and they're so spacious. And in the case of where we were in Nevada, there was just really empty, long strips of road, which you just hardly ever see around here. We always have really small, either like windy village roads, which you will see a car or two pass, but not these like long, straight, decently sized roads that just take you to infinite place. Another thing that really occurred to me is that, dang, if I lived in America, I would absolutely have to learn to drive ASAP. In the cities, I'm sure there is some leeway, but during COVID time, I could imagine it's a little bit more complicated. You really have to drive everywhere if you don't live in a city. If you live in a typical suburb, if you live in the countryside, you ain't getting anywhere without a car. Everything is just way too far away, even with a bike, and then too dangerous probably even with a bike with the cars. So this is not really a culture shock in reverse, but this kept happening to me over and over again. I would have lots of what I call language slips. That is where, like in our house, we just switch back and forth from German to English like it's no big deal. We all understand each other, but my grandma and my mom actually starts picking up more on our language slips, and she knows what some things mean. She's just kind of gotten used to it, but my grandma, and everyone else around me, and also my nieces and nephews, German just doesn't fly at all, like except for maybe the word 9. So I had to kind of stop it with the language slips. Everyone in my household just kept doing the language slip thing. Something that always happens to me when I arrive in America is I'm always a little bit taken aback by how much more talkative people are. Sometimes I think that I do come across maybe a little bit rude. It just takes me a little while to get back in the swing of things, and I'm just like trying to process the fact that somebody's acknowledging my presence for a second and wants to interact with me. Like, I'm kind of stunned, so I think I come off as rude, but really I'm just like, oh, a person, somebody wants to really have a conversation with me who I don't really know and probably won't see again. So I had to kind of get back into the swing of having random conversations with people, which I do personally like. Something else that came to a pretty big surprise to me, I was paying with cash a lot of the time because sometimes my card wasn't working. I was surprised by the sales tax. I completely forgot that the price you see on the tag is not the price you pay at the checkout, and I would sometimes calculate everything that I was going to be paying for, and then it being a good deal more than I thought it was going to be, especially when you start accumulating a lot of items, and I was like, oh yeah, sales tax. Forgot about that. I also find America to be hands down the most expensive country when it comes to almost anything, and I used to hear from Europeans that clothes is cheaper. At the moment, the dollar is a good 20% undervalued than the euro is right now, so we had that kind of going for us on holiday. But living there, my husband and I just can't actually fathom like actually attempting to live like organic in America. Food is just over the roof expensive, even if you shop at some of the cheaper places. I was splurging a lot at Whole Foods, but like honestly, it was all so expensive. I found England to actually be the best food-wise. It of course depends a lot on the state. California is like a whole other ballpark of crazy than Nevada in terms of costs, but Nevada was still pretty pricey. And also even when we look at like housing around that area and where my mom was living, it's pretty up there. Another thing that came to a pretty big surprise to me, now we don't watch a whole lot of German TV because we don't even have a TV, but the TV was on quite a bit at my family's house, and we saw so many drug commercials, things that you have to get prescriptions for being advertised, and we don't really have that here. I don't believe it's even legal to advertise pharmaceutical grade drugs that you have to get prescriptions for on TV. That was something that I knew about, but I completely forgot was a thing, and they do it so much over there, and it's like every other commercial you just hear all of the potential side effects, which are just nasty, nasty side effects, and you just hear, you could have a stroke, you could die, you could bleed to death. Last thing, which is pretty funny, is my mom noticed how German I've become in some ways. I became kind of like the rude, impatient German for a bit. It was the day after we were at the sand dunes. Everybody was like super duper hungry. We had tried calling this Chinese place in advance to get some food, and we were calling them like at least 8 times or something like that over a span of an hour to try to get a place to sit, to eat. And then by the time we got there, we're like, oh, we'll just see. My mom's like, this place gets pretty busy. So we get there and there's all these empty tables, but we get there and the lady's like, oh, sorry, you're gonna have about like a 45-minute wait or something. I don't remember the exact wait, 30 to 45-minute wait. And I was like, we tried calling you for an hour, you know, like my mom was just gonna like let it slide and then figure out what we were gonna do, but I decided to go the extra mile to just acknowledge the fact that your phone either isn't working or you ignored our call. Apparently that's something very German to do, because my mom just thought that I was being kind of rude. I didn't really think so. My husband actually didn't really think I was. Maybe it was the way I said it, I don't know. But everybody was hungry, cranky. We all climbed Sand Mountain, and it would have been nice to know that we had such a long wait an hour ago when we were trying to call, and I was just being really blunt and forward in German and just like, hey, that's not cool. So that is all of my American culture shocks, or culture shocks in reverse. We had such a great time. I definitely learned a lot about myself this vacation, learned a lot of things that I forgot that were just basic from my childhood. There was also, I forgot what DQ stands for. Like we were on the highway and this was like the first day driving in, and I was like, what's a DQ? And then it hit me all of a sudden. I was like, oh, Dairy Queen, that's what it is. And I just like, it all just started coming back slowly but surely. It's quite funny how much of the details you forget but then can remember quite quickly when you've been away from home for a long time. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Bye!